They rise out of nowhere, surrounded by endless oceans. Like small secrets kept by nature, they hide beauties that seem unreal. Beaches with sand as white as clouds, and waters so clear they reveal an underwater world full of life and color. Each island is a universe of its own, isolated yet vibrant, silent yet full of stories. They are refugees where time seems to slow down and life follows the rhythm of the winds, the tides, and the sun. Get ready for a journey where the extraordinary is the rule, and the impossible is just a matter of perspective. Kalsoy Island. In the vastness of the North Atlantic, where the wind blows with ancient strength and waves crash against millennia-old cliffs, lies a rare jewel, the island of Kalsoy. Part of the Faroe Islands archipelago, Kalsoy remains to this day a well-kept secret of nature, a land wrapped in legends, silence, and wild beauty. At only about 7 miles long, and in some places barely 1 mile wide, Kalsoy is a narrow strip of land that defies time. Its landscape is made up of imposing mountains that rise sharply from the sea, forming dizzying cliffs, deep valleys, and an almost mythical sense of isolation. The island is home to only 4 small villages: Husar, Mikladalur, Sidradalur, and Tröllanes. Few residents, perhaps no more than 100, resist time and solitude, living off fishing, sheep herding, and a deep connection with nature. Life there flows differently, slower, quieter, and with more meaning. Among the Faroes, Kalsoy is known as the Flute Island, and not by accident. Seen from above, its silhouette resembles the shape of the instrument, with its villages positioned like the holes through which the air escapes as melody. And there truly is a kind of music there, not made by instruments but by the winds whistling through valleys, seabirds calling in flight, and the sea that never falls silent. But Kalsoy is not just a place of natural beauty. It is also a land enchanted by old stories, legends passed down through generations. One of the most famous is the tale of the seal woman of Mikladalur. It is said that a seal, after removing her skin, transformed into a beautiful woman and married a local farmer. They lived together for years, but she never forgot the sea. One day, she found her hidden skin and returned to the salty waters, leaving behind her husband and children. To this day, islanders say they can hear her song on stormy nights. Kalsoy is surrounded by this kind of mystery. It is a land that breathes mythology. Every curve of the road, every cliff, every cave carved by erosion carries a fragment of an unwritten story. To reach Kalsoy, one must be willing and eager for isolation. The crossing departs from the island of Bordoy by ferry, which faces the uncertain waters of the fjord. Upon arrival, visitors find a single main road that runs from south to north, piercing mountains through dark and damp tunnels like secret passages to another world. Kofifi Island. This group of 6 islands, with Kofifi Don and Kofifi Lay as the main ones, is among the most sought-after destinations on the planet. But to truly understand the essence of Kofifi, one must look beyond its fame, beyond the dazzling photos on social media. One must listen to its story, feel its transformations, and recognize its contrasts. On the cliffs, monkeys watch the boats with curious eyes. Dense vegetation covers the higher areas, sheltering rare species and offering trails that lead to viewpoints where the landscape reveals the island's geographical complexity. Twin bays, separated by a narrow strip of sand, a geography that borders on magical. Koh Phi Phi Don is the only permanently inhabited island. There, the village of Tonsai has grown like a maze of simple buildings, bars, shops, and small hotels. On one side, the sea. On the other, the sea again. And between them, a narrow strip of land where life happens in a fast, colorful, chaotic, and vibrant rhythm. During the day, tourists set off in longtail boats to explore hidden coves, secret beaches, and diving spots that rival the most stunning in Southeast Asia. At night, Tonsai transforms. Music pulses through the alleys, fire shows light up the sand, and the aroma of Thai food fills the air. Pad Thai, spicy curry, fresh seafood, the local cuisine is a sensory experience of its own. But it is in Koh Phi Phi Le that the true symbol of the archipelago resides, Maya Bay, a cove surrounded by limestone cliffs over 300 feet high, covered in tropical vegetation and embracing a white sand beach that seems drawn from a dream. Maya Bay became world famous after the movie The Beach, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. The film's success turned the site into a pilgrimage point for tourists. In a short time, the number of visitors surpassed sustainable limits, putting marine life and fragile coastal ecosystems at risk. In response, the Thai government made a historic decision. It closed Maya Bay for several years to allow regeneration. Coral reefs were replanted, marine fauna began to return, and a new visitation system was implemented, with strict rules to preserve the site's integrity, a rare example of giving up immediate profit in the name of preservation. Today, Maya Bay has reopened, but in a controlled way. Silence once again inhabits its waters, and those who have the privilege to visit it now find something more precious than just a beautiful landscape. They find a symbol of environmental resilience. Ischia Island. In the heart of the Tyrrhenian Sea, like a secret whispered between Mediterranean waves, rests an island of almost mythological beauty, Ischia. Located in the Campania region, north of the Gulf of Naples, Ischia is a poem carved in volcanic rock, surrounded by thermal waters, dense forests, and a heritage that dates back to the dawn of European civilization. Covering just over 18 square miles, this lush island is the largest in the Neapolitan archipelago, but its physical size contrasts with the immensity of its history and culture. Ischia is not just a tourist destination, it is a living organism, pulsing with life where ancient legends and modern lives coexist in harmony. The origin of Ischia is deeply intertwined with fire. The island was born from the fury of an underwater volcano, whose last major eruption occurred around the year 1302, when Mount Epomeo, the island's geological guardian, released lava and ash that reshaped part of its geography. Today, Epomeo, standing about 2,589 feet tall, offers a breathtaking panoramic view while serving as a silent reminder of the incandescent nature that forged this paradise. The thermal properties of Ischia are perhaps its greatest natural treasure. Since ancient times, Greeks and Romans sought its sulfurous waters to heal illnesses and restore energy. The thermal baths of Ischia, such as those of Poseidon and Negombo, continue to attract visitors from all over the world. They come not only in search of physical well-being, but also a kind of spiritual rebirth, bathing in the springs that seem to carry the echoes of millennia. Mythology, always present in Italian lands, also rests over Ischia like an invisible veil. It is believed that the island is the prison of the giant Typhon, defeated by Zeus and buried beneath the weight of Mount Epomeo. His attempts to break free would be responsible for the tremors and seismic activity in the region. Thus, Ischia is not merely a piece of land, it is a slumbering mythological being. Throughout the centuries, Ischia has been a stage for invasions, colonizations, and transformations. The Greeks called it Pitakusai, and there they founded one of the oldest Hellenic colonies in the Western Mediterranean. It was here that the Cup of Nestor was discovered, an 8th century BC ceramic vessel bearing one of the earliest known Greek inscriptions mentioning wine and love. These traces prove that since the most remote times, Ischia has been a place of pleasure, contemplation, and poetry. St. Stephen's Island. Hidden among the gentle curves of Australia's eastern coast, in a region where the Pacific Ocean kisses the land with an almost ceremonial tenderness, lies a rare and little-known gem, St. Stephen's Island. Though less famous than its larger sisters in the Great Barrier Reef or the Whitsundays, St. Stephen's holds in its silence a wealth of stories, biodiversity, and spirituality that make it unique. With a modest area and a virtually non-existent population, the island remains one of the last sanctuaries of untouched nature. A refuge where time seems to have slowed down to allow the earth to breathe in peace. Located off the coast of Queensland, this island carries an ancestral heritage connected to Aboriginal peoples who have roamed its surroundings with reverence and wisdom for thousands of years. The island's landscape is a living tapestry. Tropical forests intertwine with gentle dunes, while mangroves embrace calm coves where colorful fish and crustaceans perform their ancient routines. On St. Stephen's, nature speaks in whispers, the songs of seabirds, the rustling of leaves, and the murmuring of waves on deserted beaches. The climate is hot and humid, typical of the subtropical coastal zone, which favors extraordinary biodiversity. Rare butterflies, shy marsupials, and endemic reptiles make up an ecological mosaic still little studied. Every corner of the island hides a potential discovery. Every trail leads to a new story written by nature itself. But beyond its natural beauty, St. Stephen's is also sacred ground. The Gubbi Gubbi and Butchula peoples recognize the island as part of their traditional territories. For them, every stone, every tree, every stream has a spirit, a living presence within the great cycle of creation. Respect for the land is not merely cultural, it is spiritual, existential. European colonization, as in many other parts of Australia, left deep marks. During the 19th century, St. Stephen's was briefly used as a coastal lookout point and a base for whalers. The environmental impact was devastating, and the echoes of that time still resonate in the silence of the waters. Over the years, however, the island was abandoned, an abandonment that paradoxically allowed it to heal. The absence of intense human presence gave nature the space to reorganize, mend its wounds, and regain its ancient rhythm. Today, St. Stephen's stands as an example of ecological resilience. Exploring St. Stephen's is unlike visiting a traditional tourist destination. There are no luxury resorts, no souvenir shops. What one finds there is something rarer and more precious, primordial silence. Walking along its trails is a meditative experience. Each step becomes a reconnection with the essential, with what has been forgotten in big cities and hurried routines. Sibeya Island, Samosir. Sibeya Island, located in the Samosir region, is a hidden jewel nestled among volcanic mountains and turquoise-blue waters, a place that carries centuries of history, spirituality, and untouched natural beauty. It is a land where the sacred and the earthly intertwine, revealing the deep spirit of a resilient people connected to their land. Sibeya Island is more than an exotic landscape. It is a cultural sanctuary, wrapped in the legends of the Batak people, whose traditions echo through the forest and reflect on the calm waters of the lake. The sounds of traditional flutes, tribal chants, and ceremonial drums still resonate among the rocks and villages. Here, every stone, every tree, every wave carries ancestral meaning. Samosir, the larger island at the center of Lake Toba, shelters Sibeya at its southern tip. The journey to the island is a ritual in itself. Travelers cross the vast waters of the lake aboard traditional boats, gliding through soft morning mists. As the vessel approaches, a dramatic silhouette emerges, a sacred hill, adorned with an impressive zigzag staircase leading to the Christ the Redeemer monument, with open arms blessing the island and its visitors. This monument, known as Jesus of Sibeya, is more than an architectural work. It is a symbol of faith and spiritual renewal that surrounds the island. At its base, visitors find a breathtaking viewpoint from which the eye spans the blue vastness of Lake Toba and the green peaks that surround it, a visual experience that transcends the physical and touches the divine. The construction of the staircase and monument was an act of perseverance and devotion. Each step was placed through the collective effort of the local community and volunteers from other regions. With every ascent, pilgrims feel the symbolic weight of spiritual elevation, a journey of reflection, faith, and communion with the sacred. During religious festivals, hundreds of believers climb the hill singing hymns, creating a spectacle of devotion and unity. Beyond its religious significance, Sibeya is also an ecological sanctuary. The dense vegetation, a mix of tropical forests and flower-filled meadows, shelters a rich and little-known biodiversity. Monkeys, rare birds, and small mammals find refuge in this peaceful haven. The waters surrounding the island are crystal clear, reflecting the sky and hillsides, and home to fish and unique micro-ecosystems that sustain local communities. The Batak traditions remain alive on the island. Locals still practice ancient rituals, celebrate weddings with traditional dances, and preserve oral legends passed down through generations. Stories are told of guardian spirits that protect the island, mythological beings rising from the waters of Lake Toba, and ancestral warriors who founded the first villages. The past still breathes among the carved wooden houses and cemeteries adorned with statues. Lokrum Island. Just a few minutes off the coast of Dubrovnik, Croatia, lies an island wrapped in legends, mystery, and a wild beauty seemingly untouched by time. Lokrum Island, a green refuge in the deep blue of the Adriatic Sea, is far more than a simple Mediterranean landscape. It is a place where ancient history and lush nature intertwine in silence, waiting to be discovered. The journey to Lokrum begins with a short boat ride, but soon it feels like a voyage to another world. As you approach, a silhouette covered with pine, cypress, and olive trees reveals an isolated sanctuary guarded by centuries of myth and secrecy. It's an island where monks, emperors, scientists, and even fictional characters have left their marks, both real and imagined. The name Locrum derives from the Latin word acrumen, meaning sour or acid fruit, a reference to the lemon and citrus trees that grow across the island. But the sweetness of this place lies in its rich and multifaceted history. The first recorded mention dates back to the 11th century, when Benedictine monks founded a monastery here. Legend says that before leaving the island in the 19th century, the monks cast a curse upon anyone who tried to claim Locrum unjustly. And here the tone changes, for this beautiful and peaceful island is also known for its tales of misfortune. Among the most famous who dared challenge the legend was Maximilian of Austria, who acquired Locrum in 1859. Captivated by its serenity, he built a summer palace upon the ruins of the old monastery. Yet years later, Maximilian would be executed in Mexico. Some believe the Benedictine curse followed him to his death. Others linked to the island also met tragic ends, creating an aura of respect and fear that still lingers along its shaded trails. Despite its legends, Locrum is a living paradise, where nature expresses itself with both strength and grace. The island's nature reserve hosts an impressive variety of plants and animals. Rare birds find shelter among the high tree canopies, while peacocks, introduced by Maximilian, roam freely, their iridescent feathers gleaming under the sun. The chirping of cicadas, the scent of pine, and the salty breeze create a sensory symphony that envelops visitors from their first step. The botanical gardens, created in the 19th century, stand as a testament to Locrum's passion for science and conservation. Their exotic species from around the world coexist with endemic plants of the Balkans, creating an atmosphere of contemplation and discovery. Trails wind among cacti, palm trees, eucalyptus, and giant agave plants, revealing the diversity of a carefully preserved ecosystem. El Nido, Philippines. Located at the northern tip of Palawan Island, El Nido is a symphony of wild nature, ancient culture, and landscapes that defy description. A sanctuary where time slows down, senses expand, and the spirit, often without realizing it, enters a state of reverence. The name El Nido, meaning the nest in Spanish, was given by the colonizers due to the edible nests of the swiftlets, birds that build their homes within the limestone caves of the region. These nests, used to prepare the famous Chinese bird's nest soup, became one of the first resources commercially exploited in the area. But long before the arrival of the Spanish, indigenous tribes already lived in harmony with the sea, the forests, and the winds. What first mesmerizes visitors to El Nido is its surreal geography. More than 40 islands and islets are scattered across the Bacuit Bay, like floating sculptures carved by time. Towers of black limestone rise from the sea like natural cathedrals, slicing the sky with their sharp silhouettes. Between them lie hidden lagoons, white sand beaches, and secret caves awaiting travelers willing to lose themselves in order to find themselves. The waters of El Nido are crystal clear, where sunlight penetrates deeply, revealing coral gardens, schools of multicolored fish, turtles, rays, and even reef sharks. For divers and snorkeling enthusiasts, every immersion is a window into a parallel world, one where biodiversity explodes in color, shape, and hypnotic movement. But El Nido is far more than aesthetic beauty. It is also a model of conservation and sustainable tourism. For decades, locals fought to protect their homeland from exploitative tourism. Today, the municipality enforces strict limits on the number of visitors at certain attractions, ensuring the delicate ecological balance is maintained. Local guides, trained in sustainable practices, accompany tourists with pride and responsibility. On land, the town of El Nido pulses with rustic charm and warmth. Narrow streets, lively markets, and restaurants serving local dishes like kinilaw, Filipino-style ceviche, or seafood adobo reveal the welcoming soul of the Palawan people. Sunset is a collective ritual. Everyone stops to watch the sky paint itself in shades of orange, pink, and violet, while the sea mirrors this silent spectacle. Local legends also have their place in El Nido. People speak of ancestral spirits inhabiting the forests and caves, of marine creatures guiding fishermen through stormy nights, of mountains that shelter ancient deities. Each island has a name, a story, a distinct energy. Every corner seems to whisper secrets to those who listen with their hearts. The Whitsunday Islands. Off the northeastern coast of Australia, where the turquoise-blue waters of the Coral Sea blend with translucent shades of jade, lies an archipelago that seems to have emerged from a tropical daydream. The Whitsunday Islands, composed of 74 islands and islets, are living proof of the raw, untouched beauty that nature can create when left to its own rhythm. Located in the heart of the Great Barrier Reef, these islands form one of the most iconic and fascinating destinations in the Southern Hemisphere. Their name, given by Captain James Cook in 1770, carries a curious story. It is believed he named the islands in honor of Whitsunday, also known as Pentecost Sunday. However, Cook made a small miscalculation. In reality, he was sailing through those waters on the following Monday. Still, the name remained, immortalized on maps, postcards, and in the dreams of travelers from all over the world. The Whitsundays are mostly uninhabited, surrounded by coral reefs, tropical forests, and beaches that rival the most celebrated in the world. The most famous of them is Whitehaven Beach, a name that evokes peace and purity, and could not be more fitting. Stretching for about 4 1/3 miles, approximately 7 kilometers, the sand of Whitehaven is composed of 98% pure silica, giving it an intensely white color and an almost ethereal texture. Walking across it, the sound of the grains underfoot resembles the crunch of fresh snow. The sand never heats under the blazing tropical sun, making it perfect for long walks, even during the hottest hours of the day. The contrast between the white sand and the deep blue waters creates a mesmerizing palette, enhanced by the winding sandbanks of Hill Inlet, one of the most photographed places in all of Australia. But the islands are not only a feast for the eyes. They host complex ecosystems where life thrives in multiple layers. Beneath the water, a silent universe flourishes among multicolored corals. Clownfish hide within anemones, green sea turtles glide with ancient grace, and manta rays cross the reefs as if floating between two worlds. The biodiversity is so rich that diving into the waters of the Whitsundays is for many an almost spiritual experience. It is also a region deeply shaped by millennia of human presence. The Ngaro people, an Aboriginal group that has inhabited the area for over 9,000 years, left traces of their culture in rock paintings, fossilized shells, and orally transmitted stories. Known as the Sea People, the Ngaro navigated between the islands in hand-carved canoes, with an impressive understanding of tides, winds, and constellations. Nusa Penida Island. Just a few miles, approximately 10 kilometers, off the southeastern coast of Bali, Surrounded by the deep blue of the Indian Ocean and hidden among fast-moving marine currents and dramatic cliffs, lies an island of mystery and contrast, Nusa Penida. This piece of land, covering just over 77 square miles, about 200 square kilometers, holds a wild, almost mystical energy, a gem still untouched by the tourist frenzy that turned neighboring Bali into a global icon. Nusa Penida seems to resist time itself. While the world moves forward at a rapid pace, here life is still marked by the tides, by prayers in ancient temples, and by the silence of forests that cover its slopes. Its landscapes are as dramatic as they are beautiful. Steep cliffs that plunge directly into the sea, hidden caves, secret beaches and villages where Hindu rituals blend with the whisper of the wind. The island's history is as intriguing as its rugged terrain. Nusa Penida has always carried an aura of isolation. For centuries, it was considered a place of exile where Balinese kings sent prisoners and unwanted figures. This dark reputation gave rise to legends and fears among the Balinese, who saw the island as the dwelling of powerful spirits, invisible forces that could both protect and punish. One of the most revered deities here is Ratu Gede Makaling, a feared and worshipped figure whose presence is felt in temples such as Pura Dalem Penataran Ped, one of the most important on the island. Pilgrims from all over the Balinese archipelago cross the sea just to pay homage, in a display of faith that has endured for centuries. The island's spiritual energy is tangible. In every village, ceremonial flags sway in the wind. Small altars decorated with fresh flowers and incense adorn the sidewalks. Hindu ceremonies are frequent, connecting the inhabitants to their ancestral heritage. Here, spirituality is not just tradition, it is a way of life. Geologically, Nusa Penida is marked by limestone formations that give it abrupt and striking contours. The erosion of time-sculpted caves and hidden coves, such as the iconic Kelingking Beach, whose dinosaur-shaped cliff has become one of Indonesia's most recognized images. But beyond social media, fame lies the silence of raw nature, the sound of waves crashing against ancient rocks, and the wind whispering old stories through the cliffs. Reaching Kelingking requires courage. The trail is steep and the terrain slippery, yet the view rewards the effort. Down below, a small stretch of golden sand embraced by white cliffs and turquoise waters seems to float outside of time. Many give up before reaching the end. Those who make it carry forever the memory of a sacred and untouched place. Ladigue Island. Amid the vast blue of the Indian Ocean lies a small paradise almost untouched by time, the island of Ladigue. Part of the Seychelles archipelago, this hidden gem seems to have resisted the changes of the modern world, preserving not only its lush natural landscape, but also the calm, contemplative rhythm of a time many have already forgotten. Ladigue is not just an island, it is a complete sensory experience. As travelers approach the coast, they are greeted by a scene that looks like a tropical dream. Beaches with sand as white as sugar, bordered by gigantic granite formations, patiently sculpted by centuries of erosion. The waters that bathe them display shades of blue so varied that they challenge any painter's palette. The name Ladigue dates back to the French expedition of the ship, bearing the same name in 1768. Although discovered by Europeans in the 18th century, the island remained relatively isolated, developing its own culture deeply rooted in Creole traditions. Today, It is home to around 2,000 inhabitants whose daily lives seem to follow the rhythm of the tides and the sun. Walking along its narrow sandy trails or biking along its small roads, since there are hardly any cars here, one can feel the essence of a community that values simplicity and togetherness. The colorful houses, with verandas full of flowers, stand as silent witnesses to the slow passage of time. On the island, the main means of transportation is still the bicycle, and that seemingly simple detail is revealing. The absence of hurry, the freedom to explore at one's own pace, the intimate contact with nature, all of this is part of La Digue's magic. Even the transport of goods can be done with ox-drawn carts, an almost surreal contrast with the modern world. Anse Source d'Argent, perhaps the island's most famous beach, and for many the most beautiful in the world, is a spectacle of its own. Its pink granite rocks, shaped like sculptures, contrast with the green of the palm trees and the turquoise blue of the calm, shallow sea. Here every angle seems designed for a perfect photograph. Unsurprisingly, this beach has served as the backdrop for countless films and advertising campaigns. But La Digue goes far beyond its stunning landscapes. It is also a sanctuary of biodiversity. In the heart of the island lies the Veuve Nature Reserve, home to the rare and endangered Seychelles paradise flycatcher, known locally as Veuve, meaning widow. This small blackbird, with its melancholic song and discreet habits, symbolizes the resilience of the island's wildlife. The protection of this species and its habitat reflects the community's deep commitment to conservation. In La Digue, nature is not merely admired, it is respected. This respect manifests in sustainable fishing practices, family farming, and ecological initiatives involving both residents and visitors. Rottnest Island. Along a coast bathed by the golden glow of the Australian sun, west of Perth, lies an island that seems to float between the present and a distant past. Rottnest Island, as it is officially known, is more than a tourist refuge. It is a natural sanctuary, a stage of indigenous and colonial memories, and home to one of the most charming animals on the planet, the quokka. With just over 7 1/3 square miles, approximately 19 square kilometers, Rottnest may seem small at first glance, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in diversity and historical depth. The island formed about 7,000 years ago, when sea levels rose after the last ice age, separating this piece of land from the Australian mainland. Since then, Rottnest has become a distinct ecosystem shaped by winds, tides, and human influence. Before the arrival of Europeans, the island was inhabited and visited by the Noongar Aboriginal people, who called the region Wajamup, the place where spirits rest. For them, the island held deep spiritual meaning, connected to the journey of souls after death. However, for thousands of years as sea levels rose, access to the island became impossible without boats, and its occupation was interrupted for a long time. The story of colonization began in 1696, when the Dutch explorer Willem de Vlaming landed on the island and, upon seeing the small marsupials that now charm the world, mistook them for large rats. He named the place Rattennest, meaning rat's nest. The name persisted, even though the little animals were in fact the endearing quokkas. Quokkas, unique to this island, are small herbivorous marsupials known for their naturally smiling expression. They live in relative safety on the island, free from predators such as foxes and feral cats. Over the years, they have become icons of Australian wildlife, starring in countless selfies and bringing joy to thousands of visitors. But the true value of the quokka goes far beyond its appearance. It represents the resilience of a species that found in Rottnest a perfect refuge to thrive. Despite its charming wildlife, Rottnest bears in its landscape the deep marks of human history. During the 19th century, the island was used as a prison for Australian Aboriginal people. Hundreds of Noongar men were held under harsh conditions, forced to build structures still visible today, such as the chapel, the lighthouse, and several limestone buildings. This dark chapter in the island's history still echoes in collective memory, and efforts have been made to acknowledge and honor the suffering of those imprisoned there. Monuments, exhibitions, and cultural initiatives seek to give voice to these forgotten stories, turning the island into a space for reflection and reconciliation. Over the decades, Rottnest has evolved, taking on new roles. It served as a military outpost during both World Wars, with bunkers, tunnels, and coastal batteries strategically positioned to protect Australia's western coastline. These structures remain as silent witnesses to a time of global tension. Sumba Island. In the vast Indonesian archipelago, where thousands of islands form a unique geographic and cultural mosaic, there lies an island shrouded in mystery and fascination, Sumba. Unlike its more famous neighbors, such as Bali or Java, Sumba moves to its own rhythm, ancient, spiritual, and deeply connected to the land. Located in the southern part of the Lesser Sunda Islands, Sumba occupies a strategic geographic position between the Savu Sea and the Indian Ocean. Covering about 4,250 square miles, approximately 11,000 square kilometers, the island features dramatic landscapes, arid plains dotted with rolling hills, dense tropical forests, limestone caves, hidden waterfalls, and some of the most untouched beaches in Southeast Asia. But what truly sets Sumba apart is its soul. The island is the cradle of a unique megalithic culture that has survived both time and foreign religious influence. Here Marapu, the traditional spiritual belief of the Sumbanese, still dictates rituals, lifestyles, and the people's relationship with their ancestors. In Sumba, the past is not buried, it lives among the living. Marapu is not just a religion, it is a worldview, a way of seeing existence. The spirits of ancestors are venerated, and their tombs, massive stone monuments, are built with great effort and ceremony. These structures, called megaliths, can be found in villages and on hill slopes, standing like stone sentinels guarding the secrets of ancient times. Traditional Sumbanese houses are striking constructions. With their tall, tower-shaped roofs made of thatch and wood, they seem to reach the sky. These roofs, known as Umambatangu, carry spiritual meaning. They represent a connection with the world of the gods. Every part of the house, from the floor to the rooftop, is imbued with symbolism and designated for specific roles in family and ceremonial life. Villages, or kampungs, are organized around these spiritual principles. Houses are built around central squares where rituals take place. In these spaces, animal sacrifices, dances, chants, and offerings occur on specific dates, always aiming to maintain balance between the physical and spiritual worlds. Sumba's culture also finds vibrant expression in its textile traditions. The ikat fabrics, hand-woven by the island's women, are masterpieces of color, technique, and patience. Each piece can take months to complete, and the geometric patterns, animals, and human figures woven into the designs carry deep symbolic meanings. Wearing a traditional ikat is like wearing the island's history upon one's body. Faroe Islands. In the rough waters of the North Atlantic, between Iceland and Norway, lies an archipelago wrapped in mystery, where time seems to follow an ancient rhythm. The Faroe Islands, with their green cliffs and abrupt headlands, rise like a secret guarded by the northern mists. Comprising 18 volcanic islands connected by tunnels, bridges and legends, this is a place where nature rules and humankind learns humbly to coexist. The first impression is one of isolation. The vastness of the ocean surrounds the islands like a protective mantle, keeping them distant from the frenzy of the modern world. Yet this isolation does not mean stagnation. The Faroe Islands are a place where thousand-year-old traditions coexist with a surprisingly modern society that embraces technology, sustainability, and innovation. The name Føroyar in Faroes means Islands of the Sheep, a fitting tribute to the animals that outnumber the human population. Grazing freely on the green hills beneath grey skies, the sheep are a vital part of the landscape and local economy. They provide wool, meat, and a symbol of resilience, reflecting the Faroes' spirit, strong, adaptable, and deeply connected to the land. The capital, Tórshavn, is one of the smallest in the world, yet it pulses with life and culture. Its colourful houses, topped with grass roofs, recall a time when architecture adapted to nature. In the local parliament, the Løgting, one of the oldest still functioning in the world, decisions are made through a form of direct, participatory democracy. Here, politics and tradition intertwine in a balance that has endured through time. The Faroes language, a direct descendant of Old Norse, is spoken with pride. Though English and Danish are also common, Faroes is carefully preserved, especially through songs, sagas, and folk celebrations. Music, in fact, holds a special place in Faroes' life, from ancient hymns sung in chorus to contemporary bands that fill the air during annual festivals like the G Festival and the Summer Festival Urin. Yet beyond its human culture, it is the Faroe Islands' landscapes that defy imagination. Colossal cliffs such as those of Vestmanna rise imposingly over the sea. Lakes that appear to float above the ocean, like Sørvágsvatn, captivate the eyes and confuse the senses. And waterfalls that plunge directly into the sea, such as Múlafossur, immortalize the meeting of land and ocean in a hypnotic display of nature's power. The climate, unstable and unpredictable, is a character of its own. In a matter of minutes, the blue sky can turn grey, wrapped in dense mists that hide the mountains. The wind, constant and often fierce, tells stories of sailors, fishermen, and explorers who dared to face the unknown. Fishing has historically been the backbone of the Faroese economy. Fish such as cod, herring, and salmon sustain not only local diets, but also exports. The sea provides, but it also demands respect. The Faroes people know this better than most. Their lives are ruled by tides, currents, and storms. The relationship with the ocean is intimate, visceral, and reverent. Kofangan Island. In the Gulf of Thailand lies an island that seems to have been shaped by the very essence of paradise. Kofangan, surrounded by legends, spirituality, and celebration, is a destination where the ancestral past and the vibrant present intertwine under the shadow of palm trees and the constant rhythm of the waves. Only a few dozen miles away from the more famous Koh Samui, Kopangan maintains its own personality, more introspective, wilder, more mystical. Upon arrival, visitors don't just find an island, but rather a refuge for restless souls and seekers of something beyond the surface. The island's history goes back centuries, when it was inhabited by Buddhist monks and fishing communities. Its ancient temples, such as Wat Pu Khao Noi, bear witness to the silence of spiritual practice and the echo of prayers that have crossed generations. Even today, Koh Phangan remains one of the most sought-after meditation centers in Asia, attracting thousands who wish to reconnect mind, body, and spirit. But there is another side, a vibrant side that has earned worldwide fame: the full moon party. On nights of the full moon, especially at Hard Rin, the white sand turns into a dance floor. Neon lights, electronic music, and dancing crowds create an effervescent spectacle where cultures meet and time seems suspended. It is a celebration of the moment, of youth, of community. This contrast between the spiritual and the festive defines Koh Phangan. On one side, silent retreats in the mountains. On the other, parties that last until dawn. In between, serene villages, floating markets, and local communities that keep Thai tradition alive with welcoming smiles and gestures of hospitality. The island's geography is both generous and dramatic. Mountains covered in dense jungle, hidden waterfalls like Than Sadet, where Thai kings left inscriptions on stones, and breathtaking beaches such as Bottle Beach or Hard Yuen. Every trail reveals a new scene. Every curve in the road offers a new perspective. Koh Phangan doesn't reveal itself all at once. It unfolds slowly to those willing to explore it with patience. The local population, mostly Buddhist, lives in harmony with the environment. Life here follows another rhythm, marked by the sound of temple bells, the scent of incense from homes, the vibrant colors of markets, and the easy laughter of children playing at sunset. There is a silent wisdom in the island's daily life, a tacit understanding that beauty lies in simplicity. The cuisine of Koh Phangan is an experience in itself. From humble street stalls serving pad thai and massaman curry to elegant seaside restaurants, the flavors are intense, balanced, and memorable. Influenced by southern Thai traditions, with plenty of coconut, fresh seafood, and bold spices, every meal becomes a sensory journey. Eating here is an act of celebration of the land, the sea, and the culture. Var Island. Nestled along the Croatian coast, this island drifts quietly through the centuries like a living painting. Var is not just a destination, it is an experience, a portal between past and present, where the deep blue of the sea mixes with the scent of lavender and the distant echoes of ancient empires. With more than 2,000 years of human occupation, Hvar has witnessed the ebb and flow of Illyrians, Greeks, Romans, Venetians, and Austro-Hungarians. Each civilization left its mark like layers of paint on a canvas never erased. Walking through its stone alleys, travelers tread upon millennia. The shadows that stretch across the limestone walls whisper stories of conquest, trade, faith, and endurance. The town of Hvar, which lends its name to the island, is the beating heart of this archipelago. Its medieval walls still guard the harbor, while the Spanish fortress, perched atop the hill, silently overlooks the movement of boats below. By day, sunlight bathes Renaissance facades in golden tones. By night, the city glows silver beneath the moonlight, turning every corner into a promise of discovery. But Hvar is more than its capital. The island stretches across hills and valleys, covered with vineyards, olive groves, and lavender fields. The villages of Stari Grad, Verboska, and Jelsa each with its own distinct personality, form a mosaic of traditions and flavors. In Stari Grad, one of the oldest settlements in Europe, Greek history still lingers in the walls and in the air. Founded as Pharos in 384 years before Christ, the town remains a living testament to cultural perseverance. The Stari Grad Plain, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is an agricultural landscape that has changed little since antiquity. Stone walls divide plots of land that still produce figs, grapes, and vegetables, just as they did over 2 millennia ago. This continuity is rare. It is as if the centuries have folded upon themselves, creating a circle where the past never truly disappears. Nature in Hvar is generous. The Mediterranean climate brings long summers and mild winters, making the island a refuge for plants and animals. Pine trees bend toward the sea, cicadas sing all summer long, and the air is perfumed with wild rosemary. The beaches, whether rocky or sandy, reveal crystal-clear waters that shift between turquoise blue and emerald green. Diving here is like touching the heart of the Adriatic. No less enchanting are the small islands surrounding Hvar. The Pakleni archipelago, covered in pine forests, offers hidden coves accessible only by boat, a paradise for those seeking silence, contemplation, and the luxury of solitude. There, time dissolves, and the world feels light years away. But Hvar wasn't always a place of leisure and tourism. In the 19th century, the island was known for its maritime sanatorium, where the sick came to recover thanks to the climate and the purity of the air. Tourism only gained strength in the 20th century, especially after Croatia's independence. Since then, Hvar has become a coveted destination, balancing its historical identity with the modernity of yachts and Michelin-starred restaurants. Mahe Island. The mother island of the Seychelles, a haven where the Indian Ocean caresses the mountains with foamy fingers and where life seems to follow a different rhythm, slow, intense, almost hypnotic. Mahe is more than just the largest island in the archipelago. It is the beating heart that gives rhythm and soul to an entire island nation. Located a little over 600 miles from the eastern coast of Africa, Mahe is an island of striking contrasts. On one side, untouched tropical forests. On the other, white sand beaches that look like they came from a dream. At its center, mist-covered mountains filled with legends. Above all, a sky that changes colors like a chameleon, deep blue, fiery gold, dramatic gray, mirroring the moods of the ocean that surrounds it. The capital of the Seychelles, Victoria, rests like a modest jewel in the north of the island, one of the smallest capitals in the world, yet no less vibrant. Its narrow, colorful streets blend African, Asian, and European influences, a faithful reflection of Mahe's history, shaped by navigation, colonization, and resilience. Here, the past and the present coexist like old friends. The clock tower, a replica of London's Big Ben, marks more than just the hours. It marks the symbolic passage of time for an island that was once French, then British, and finally independent. An island that found its voice without forgetting its roots. The Sir Selwyn Clark Market is the beating heart of Victoria. There, among stalls of fresh fish, tropical fruits, and fragrant spices, the Creole soul reveals itself in full splendor. The Seychellois Creole, spoken with melody and pride, is more than just a language. It is identity. It is the living heritage of a people who carry African, European, Indian, and Chinese blood. This blend is also felt in the cuisine, which combines local ingredients with ancestral techniques. Grilled fish with tamarind sauce, octopus curry with coconut milk, green papaya salad with lime and chili. Dining in Mahe is a celebration of the senses. But Mahe is not defined by its city alone. Just a few minutes by car are enough for the landscape to change dramatically. The road winds through mountains covered in dense vegetation, giant ferns, endemic palms, wild orchids. At the summit, the Morne Seychellois National Park dominates the landscape, rising about 2,970 feet above sea level. From the top, the ocean can be seen in every direction, an endless blue carpet. The park is a sanctuary of biodiversity, home to species found nowhere else on Earth, such as the coco de mer palm with its heart-shaped fruit, or the Mahe moss frog, smaller than a fingernail. The forest seems suspended in time, breathing slowly beneath constant humidity. Trails cross this green world, leading travelers to lookouts, streams and clearings where silence itself seems to have a voice.